Hello, peeps and gents. And today I got a little bit of a main account update. So, as you guys know, I broke my 4-year record of never dropping on at least direct Jades in these gacha games. The most I've ever gone is Battle Pass, and I quite consistently get monthly, right? However, Feyenon was someone I really liked. This was someone I've been saving for since the beginning of Amphorius, but I folded. I wasted my pulls, or I wouldn't say wasted because he still is really good, but I used my pulls on E2 S1 My Day instead of Feyenon, and those pulls were originally meant for Feyenon, right? So because of this folding, I obviously didn't have any pulls saved left. I stupidly wasted one of my guarantees on Hyacine, even though I don't really use Hyacine all that much anymore, right? It is what it is. You know, I am not like a perfect person to look up to for pure meta pulling, because in all reality, I should have just pulled Tribi or E1 Tribi instead of pulling Feainon at all, right? I do impulse pull quite a bit, because in HSR, I already made a video on this topic. Every single new character release really makes me want to drop for them, right? Because so many of the character designs, especially in Ampho, and especially for the men, they've really stepped it up recently. They just look amazing, right? So all of this is to lead up to the current point I want to talk about. So I got E1 Feainon at 50 pity. Around 50 to 55. I'm not sure if it's updated. Let me see. Okay, it's not updated yet, but I got Feainon on around 50 to 55 pity, so this means I now have his E1. And this thing is actually really nice, right? It is really solid. Now, it does suck. I'm like one away from the E2, but I'm not going to drop money, right? I'm fully aware of how strong this E2 is, but I am also fully aware that an E1 S1 Feainon with E1 S1 Sunday and with E1 Robin will likely be able to clear all the endgame content until his rerun comes back, and I can just drop quickly for this E2, right? This E2, it is understandable to feel FOMO for it, because by a very good amount, this is the strongest E2 for any DPS in the game by a mile, right? No one really comes close to this E2. It is in its own league. This is the first time we've had a main DPS outside of Anoxa, though Anoxa, it's mostly because he's a sub DPS, right? So Anoxa, even though he does have 20% res pen on his E2, doesn't have anything else for the E2 to offer. While with Feainon, he gets 20% physical res pen, and on top of this, gains an extra turn every time he uses a meteor. This is genuinely disgusting, right? The value that this provides, especially in AoE endgame modes like Pure Fiction, is insane. And even in just normal MOC or APOC, its value is still through the roof. It allows you to get so many more meteors, and even Seredra, at least as of current, cannot compare to this E2's value, right? And so I wanted to talk a little bit about my point, right? I have been kind of going hard on Seredra recently. Now, she could 100% get buffed. Please, don't do what I just did. I only did what I did because I have an E1 S1 Sunday and an E1 Robin and an E2 Bronya, right? If you don't have supports of like that high tier level, I'd highly recommend getting Seredra, because one, she will likely get buffed, and so her performance with Feainon will be even more worth pulling on. But the other thing as well, and this is something I realized on my current main account, if you don't literally have every single limited support in this game, then pulling Seredra does have value, because it can free up one of your other general supports for your second team, right? I want to bring this up because here's my Feainon, right? Here's my Feainon. I am running him with Sunday. I am running him with this Bronya. and I am running him with this Robin, right? So that's 3 of my most premium supports. Now, My Day is strong. He is E2S1. All I need to do is either pair him with like another sustain or whatever, and he'll still clear, right? But My Day, he gets RMC, and now he's missing a second buffing slot, right? So by all means, should I have pulled Tribby so that I could put My Day with Tribby? And in fact, this would have been easy content, because then I would have been able to upload a video of me true zero cycling both sides of MOC. However, Feyenon's E2 investment is incredibly disgusting, and his pure fiction performance at E0S1 isn't the greatest. So the combination of E1 and E2 makes him T0 in pure fiction. However, even just the E1 alone can very noticeably increase his pure fiction performance. Before, I was kind of questioning, right? Maybe I can't run Feyenon in pure fiction, and instead I just run my Herda. However, now that I got this E1 early, this goes completely out the window. I can use Feyenon for literally every single endgame mode as a main DPS, the same way I do my E2S1 My Day. So my 2 main DPS teams for literally everything are now Feyenon and My Day. So you might be asking what my plans are after this. It should be a little obvious. I do currently plan on skipping Seredra, right? If I can't feel the FOMO for Feyon's E2 as of current, then I obviously won't feel the FOMO for Seredra, who is a way less of a boon to Feyon's performance, right? Seredra is just not worth pulling, at least for me. As I mentioned earlier, I'm only missing 1 support slot to be able to run Feyenon sustainless and My Day sustain comfortably, right? And there is a character that I am looking forward to, and I have been glazing for a long time coming now, and that is Sirene. Sirene is 2 patches after Seredra, and with the current leak, she is a team buffer, right? And this likely means that she will be the next true damage buffer we get in the game aside from RMC, and this also means she'll likely have very strong Eidolon investment, as this is the last support, the last character of Amphorius. For, example of, last patch supports of this game's track record, it's Ruan Mei and it's Sunday. Yeah. So Sirene, very high chance of being possibly the best support in the entirety of the game when she drops, and she would be able to fit perfectly with the current information we have into my My Day team as the second slot buffer alongside RMC for My Day, right? So this is why I'm going for Sirene, and I'm skipping Seredra quite confidently as of current. It's because Seredra simply cannot give me anywhere near the value a Sirene could for my account. And then on top of that, I also need to prioritize Feyon's E2 and Sirene over Seredra. And in all honesty, there is zero way I can fully guarantee Feyon's E2 and Sirene if I were to also waste my 3.4 pulls on Seredra, right? So this is the safest route to go, the best route to go. Of course, I just threw pulls into Feyon's banner, building pity, right? I don't mind building pity. I don't, right? I don't do it on my Anoxa account, but I do it on this one, because building pity on this account has no drawbacks. I already have so many characters, so many top tier supports and DPSs that I don't really lose anything. I almost only gain, right? And because there are no upcoming characters until 3.7 or Feyon's rerun that I'm actually interested in, it's free game, right? So quick main account update. We got the E1 early at 50 pity, won the 50-50. I will be trying. I think I can get like 20 more pulls, right? Feyon's banner has around 10 days left, 9 days left. So I think I can get around 20 more pulls with monthly pass, doing the fake quest, and as well as a bit of exploration, right? If I can't get E2 Feainon, it is what it is. We move on, right? It's really all that simple. We just move on. We skip 3.5, we skip 3.6, and we just go straight into Sirene and Feainon's rerun. I hope the rumor that Don Hung SP is free truly does turn out to be true, because if so, oh my god, man, like genuinely, I'm so fucking happy, right? At first, I thought I'd like highly regret dropping money on Feainon after not feeling the FOMO a few days later. However, it's the opposite. I am thanking myself more and more for having pulled Feainon and broken my 4-year streak, because this is the coolest character in the game. By no means am I saying he's the strongest, am I saying he's the most fun, but he is just an amazing character to play with. I love his animations, I love his lore, and I truly think Hoyo did step it up quite a bit with the male characters in Amphorius, and I hope to keep seeing stuff like this more in the future, right? Love you all. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great night. Peace out.